It was the finale we both hoped for and feared, with the Rings of Power Season 2 Episode 8 heralding death, despair and, finally, a ray of hope as Middle-earth faced up to Sauron. The finale episode saw the last of Annatar's deception of the Elven smith Celebrimbor, a betrayal from the Orcs, and, finally, the reveal we've been waiting for as the stranger's true identity was finally unveiled. As we wait for a potential Season 3, here's everything you need to know about the Rings of Power Season 2 Episode 8. Who is the stranger? Finally, it's confirmed that the stranger is Gandalf. Here's how that reveal happened. We're reunited with the stranger midway through the episode, when he's approached by the Dark Wizard, who suddenly seems strangely friendly. He says the stranger was the one who convinced him to leave the West, and that they need to work together to defeat Sauron. Understandably, the stranger is confused, reasoning that he thought the Dark Wizard wanted to ally with Sauron. The Dark Wizard tells him if that he goes with him, he'll find his name, his staff, and the answers he's looking for. More than that, he also says he's ensured Nori and Poppy are safe. They're not exactly safe, though. One of the Dark Wizard's acolytes holds a knife at Nori and Poppy's throat, seemingly going against the Dark Wizard's orders. The Dark Wizard kills one of his acolytes and the others flee, leaving Nori and Poppy to be reunited with the stranger. While the Dark Wizard says he doesn't agree with the name he's been given, Nori and Poppy point out that he killed one of his acolytes. The stranger asks if the Dark Wizard wants to be Sauron's successor, and the Dark Wizard suggests that's the fate that awaits both of them. The stranger says he'd rather walk nameless forever, and the Dark Wizard casts a spell, causing the roof above to cave in. He says he hopes the stranger losing those he cares about will give him a taste of the suffering to come to Middle-earth if Sauron was to succeed. The Harfoots, thankfully, are largely unharmed and pick up the pieces after the destruction caused by the Dark Wizard. Poppy leaves with nobody as he and his clan start their first migration, and, in the biggest case of foreshadowing known to man, the Harfoots call the stranger Grand Elf. Nori tells the stranger they need to walk their own paths, and the pair share an emotional farewell. Quickly, the stranger finds his staff, which looks a lot like the one carried by Gandalf. He heads to see Tom Bombadil for some long-awaited answers. The stranger asks if it was all a test, theorizing that he was meant to help the Harfoots and choose friendship over power. Tom says a wizard's staff finds him, not the other way around, like his name. Finally giving us the moment we've been waiting for, the stranger says, "Gandalf, that's what they're going to call me, isn't it?" Before the pair of them enjoy a little sing-song. Why do the Orcs kill Adar? The Orcs turn their back on Adar and ultimately kill him after being manipulated by Sauron. Fans might have seen this coming after previous episodes showed the Orcs questioning Adar's commands. The siege of a region continues, with the Orcs raining fire on the battlements. Galadriel attempts to protect the women but is cornered by the Orcs. She offers up herself in return for their safety and reveals that she has the 9 rings. Celebrimbor, while still alive, is brutally tortured by Sauron as he attempts to find out where he's hidden the rings. Celebrimbor tells him that the rings are beyond his reach. Sauron says there are ways of keeping him alive, and Celebrimbor taunts him, telling him he's a shadow of Morgoth, and that the Rings of Power will destroy him, and that one alone will prove his utter ruin. At these words, Sauron impales Celebrimbor with a spear, dragging him up a wall. With his dying words, Celebrimbor tells Sauron he is a prisoner of the rings. Sauron weeps before he's interrupted by a group of orcs. His manner changes, and he refers to them as Uruk, as he begins his ploy to make them believe he cares for them. The orcs take Galadriel to Adar. She agrees to an alliance with him, with Adar revealing he has her ring. He shows that the ring has reverted him back to his former appearance as an elf. He said he was known by another name before Adar, but Adar is the name he's earned. He gives Galadriel her ring back and says if she helps him defeat Sauron, he will recall the Orcs to Mordor, never to wage war on Middle-earth again. Galadriel points out that she's killed plenty of Orcs, and Adar says he forgives her, and that he wants to create a lasting peace. However, he doesn't have that power anymore. It quickly becomes clear that Sauron has taken Adar's army. One Orc, pretending to be injured, stabs Adar, and the rest of them descend on the man they once knew as father, in a brutal parallel of Sauron's death in Season 2 Episode 1. Sauron takes back Morgoth's crown and acknowledges Galadriel before slipping away. Sauron orders the Orcs to kill all of the elves, but to bring their leaders to him alive. Galadriel takes a sword to Sauron, but he uses Morgoth's crown to shield himself. He orders Galadriel to give him the rings and claims he wishes to heal all of Middle-earth. As the siege of a region continues, the Orcs set fire to Celebrimbor's legacy of works. Sauron fights Galadriel and transforms himself into figures from her life in an attempt to wrest the rings from her, from Halbrand, his former disguise, to Galadriel herself and Celebrimbor. Sauron stabs Galadriel with Morgoth's crown, telling her he would have placed a crown upon her head. She then tells him the free people of Middle-earth will always resist him, before falling to the ground. Sauron finally picks up the rings, although Galadriel still has hers. She holds it out to him, before throwing herself and her ring backwards off a cliff. In anger, Sauron stabs an orc, proving he's nothing of the father Adar once was. What kills King Durin? King Durin is killed when fighting a Balrog, which becomes known as Durin's Bane. The episode starts with King Durin being completely taken over by his ring, and manically mining for more mithril with his son Prince Durin in despair. Durin goes to follow his father down the mine and warns his wife Disa not to follow him. Durin tells his father to take off the ring and even threatens him with his axe. King Durin continues to mine and he shows Durin the dynasty of Durin, riches of Mithril. But before long, they hear an ominous growl. Durin encourages his father to run, but he's too late as King Durin faces up to the fiery Balrog, later known as Durin's Bane. Returning to himself just before his death, King Durin takes off the ring and asks his son to forgive him, finally referring to him as the new King Durin before jumping off the side of the cliff and facing up to the Balrog. Later in the episode, we see the new King Durin face up to his fate as he stands before his inherited throne. The dwarves inform Durin that a region has fallen and he says Khazad-dûm stands ready to offer aid. But Durin's got trouble of his own, as Disa informs him that they owe debt, that rumors are flying that he wasn't his father's preferred heir and that other dwarf lords, including Durin's brother, will challenge his claim. Durin eyes the rings. What is Narsil? Narsil is the sword that Tar Miriel gives to Elendil. It has huge importance in Tolkien's lore as it's the sword that is eventually used to cut the One Ring from Sauron's hand. In Numenor, Pharazôn gathers the faithful and accuses Miriel of bewitching the Valar by means of an alliance with Sauron. All of her loyalists are immediately named traitors to Numenor. Irian warns her father Elendil that the guards are coming for him and attempts to protect him. However, it's clear he must leave. Elendil prepares himself and Miriel to leave for the west to find his son Anarion. Miriel tells him to leave her and that her place is in Numenor. She gives Elendil the sword Narsil and tells him that he has claimed his destiny. Later, we see Miriel face Pharazôn in chains. Elsewhere, Isildur and Theo have a heart-to-heart about feeling guilty over their mother's deaths. Isildur prepares to leave Pelargir and the pair share an emotional goodbye. Estrid arrives and tells Isildur she and her betrothed have been building a home together. However, she reveals she's not in love with him, and he takes his chance and kisses her. He tells her to come with him to Numenor. Kemen arrives at Pelargir to generally be a menace and finds Isildur. Kemen refuses Estrid passage back to Numenor and tells Isildur about the usurping of Pharazôn, informing him that his father Elendil is wanted for treason. He announces that Pelargir is a fortress for Numenor's soldiers and that all men must deliver timber from the forest for the construction of an armada. Without the timber, there will be no supplies for the people. Finally, we see Isildur forced to leave Estrid, with her betrothed taking her hand. Where is the sanctuary? The final scenes of the Rings of Power see Galadriel wake up in a sanctuary, which fans will recognize as Rivendell. It represents both a sanctuary, protected by the Elven rings, and an otherworldly place, and it's hugely important as the place where the quest to destroy the One Ring begins. Gil-galad, Arondir and Elrond attempt, and fail to heal the darkness inside her after her battle with Sauron. Thankfully, after placing Galadriel's ring on his finger, Elrond succeeds. Galadriel wakes up and Gil-galad assures her that they're safe. Arondir says he's gathered the other elves and that they await Gil-galad's decision. Gil-galad says all of Middle-earth is now in Sauron's reach, even Lindon, and that they must make the decision whether to take the fight to him or whether to prepare their defenses, the sword or the shield. Galadriel reminds the party of Celebrimbor's counsel. It is not strength that overcomes darkness, but light, and the sun still shines. Galadriel, Arondir, Elrond, and King Gil-galad take their places in front of the elves, and as Gil-galad raises his sword, the rest of the elves follow suit with a battle cry. As Season 2 ends, their decision is made clear. They will take the fight to Sauron.